Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today, we are discussing the topic of waiting. And this is like waiting for the perfect opportunity to try something new, waiting for this like perfect magical moment for you to go and do something. And I'm here to deliver the sick, sad news that there is no perfect timing, and perfect timing is an illusion. And if you're able to reframe your mind around perfect timing, then you might have more quote unquote perfect timing moments. So let's just first talk it out. So I'm going to share with you a story of when I first began DJing and how that was kind of a perfect timing moment when I explain it. And when I think about it, it really wasn't perfect timing. This is kind of a glass half full scenario where I'm choosing to look at the glass half full in this story. And then I'm going to show you how I could have looked at this story as a glass half empty situation, further proving to you that perfect timing is a mindset. So let's go back to 2016. I am at a wedding, talking to the DJ, telling him okay, we're going to enter from over there, things are happening. The DJ was like, okay, you need to become a DJ. And I was like, really? And just excited because I think I've always wanted to become a DJ. Even when I was a kid and I would go to those little dances at Sons of Italy, I would bring a blank CD with me and I would go to the DJ and I'd be like, hey, if there's any cool songs that you want to add to the CD, I would love it. Or if I'd go on vacation, I would bring a blank CD with me and I would go find the DJ and be like, hi, can you can you put any of your cool mixes on this CD? Now at that time I didn't even know, I should have just become a DJ then. But I'm going to tell you my perfect / not perfect timing story right now. So the DJ says that to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, how cool. And I just go home, tell my mom, tell my dad, hey, I think I might become a DJ. And then the guy that told me that, so he has a boss, his name's Scott. I've already talked about Scott. He's amazing. And Scott emailed me and he was like, hey, I hear you want to be a DJ. And I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, okay, why? And he wanted to know why I want to become a DJ. And I was like, well, I'm always playing music for people because I'm teaching dance and So here are things aligning for me, right? They're just this guy said something and then now this other guy said something. Now we go a little weeks later and I'm swiping on Bumble. This is BJ before Josh. And I'm swiping along and I see this guy who owns a DJ school. And I'm like, hey, I'm not interested, but actually I'd love to ask you for a lesson. And he's like, okay, that's cool. And so I kind of had a lesson, but it was more of a talk. And it was just interesting, the timing, right? Of that exact situation happening right after the other situation and the other situation. Well, let's fast forward a little bit more to when my mom, and I think I've already told you this story, so I'll breeze by it, but my mom goes to her work and is like, Chrissy is a DJ. And I wasn't yet. And there was a traveling PT and her husband, they had just gotten married in London and they were going to have a wedding here to celebrate with the people in the US. And she was like, can you talk to your daughter? Da, da, da. So, when we talked, she was like, yeah, we love your mom. We'd love to have you as a DJ. And I was like, well, I'm not a DJ yet. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no equipment. There was just nothing. And again, this in my head is perfect timing. Okay, here is the fire under my butt to be getting ready to go and do this thing that I really want to do. And so she hires me. That I think was in the fall of 2016. The wedding was in 2017. So I knew I had time to kind of figure stuff out. So the person on Bumble linked me with someone else that I took a few lessons with. So I think when we officially had it down, it was maybe April. Cause I remember reaching out to Scott and being like, hey, I've got this thing in June and I gotta figure it out. And I got to make sure that I'm ready to DJ this wedding. He was like, you're going to DJ a wedding for your first gig ever? That was the big, are you crazy? And I was like, yeah. it's gonna be, and it's gonna be awesome. And I remember asking him, like, geez, do you have any weddings that I can like shadow you? And he was like, not many right now, because it was like the off season. So I waited, and I think it was like 2 or 3 weddings that I shadowed him. And I was like, okay, like getting the hang of like really the depth of how involved DJing really is. Anyway, let's fast forward, because we know like years later, here I am DJing and loving life. So that night was amazing. So like after those few shadowing moments, fast forward to June, had the wedding. Like it was a great hit. I learned a lot. I think I told you my very first DJ F up in that other episode of Rehearse Your F Up. So if you want to hear more, like that's where you can go. My point in telling you this is I got to choose in this moment to look at all of these things aligning, telling me that the timing was right. Now I'm going to tell you that story the same way again, but glass half empty instead of glass half full. And in this story, you're going to hear me saying a lot of things that's showing that the timing is not perfect timing. So let's just review that side of the story. So that side of the story, here I am at a wedding, and the timing was so cool because that DJ kind of like gave me the nudge to be like, you should be a DJ. And then days later, I was on Bumble, and that guy happened to be a DJ school. Like fast forward, I had my mom, that whole thing with my very first client happening. And then fast forward, I had the opportunity to shadow a wedding. And then after that, I got my big moment of doing my first wedding. So here's that exact story in another light. And this light is very dim and dull. It's actually like almost cringy for me to like, I know what I'm about to say right now. And I'm like, ooh, like that's so cringy to like say that, because it's so not true. And I think when we train, you're going to see when we train ourselves to reframe things in this positive light. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that sometimes like things just suck, and like there's a whole thing I can say about that. So I'm not just saying like to skew everything in the positive light. No, I'm not. I'm saying to be open to the universe's messages to you. So here we go. I'm at a wedding, and the DJ says to me like, oh, you should be a DJ. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then fast forward, I'm swiping on Bumble, and oh my gosh, like instead of like finding my dream Joshy, like I find this guy who was, not date worthy. That's the guy that ended up being like the owner of the DJ school, right? So it's hard for me to do this story. Okay, then fast forward, like my mom went to her work and she said like, Chrissy's a DJ. No, like, I'm not a DJ. Like, don't say that, Mom. But instead I was like, oh my gosh, she said that like about me. Like, I'm not that yet, but I soon hope to be. And then the next part of the story is when I talked to the bride-to-be, and like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous to talk to her because I'm not a DJ yet. And oh no, like this makes me have anxiety and like, oh, I don't know. But we know the real part of the story is I talked to her anyway, and I was up front and I told her like, I've never done this before. And are you sure that you want to have me do this on your big day? And the answer was yes. So I had what we talked about a couple weeks ago, having the hard conversation of, hey, like I could fail. And she had that opportunity to say, I trust you to do it. Simple as that. So perfect timing on one hand, non-perfect timing on the other, because I wasn't ready. I wasn't a DJ yet. So now we know that the next part of the story is when I started shadowing Scott. The glass half empty would be, oh my gosh, Scott doesn't have any weddings until April. I'm not going to be able to shadow him until April. And that's like 2 months before June. That's just not enough time. That's not good. But we know glass half full was like, wow, that's perfect. April. Okay, it's a little longer than I wanted to wait. And it's a little close. It's a little close to June, right? For me to learn, or pushing it. And also it's perfect because I'll learn everything and I'll keep it in my head. Then, oh my gosh, I didn't even tell you this part, but I didn't have my own equipment then. So I was going to rent equipment for this big day. And my glass half full was saying, oh, that's okay. You can rent from Jeff. He'll let you rent. And my glass half empty is like, oh my gosh, you don't have equipment. Like you can't figure it out. So on the one hand, I'm seeing all of these things as signs from the universe saying, you can do it. You got this. You're going to become a DJ. And here are all the beautiful nudges for you to just do it. And then on this side, it's no. The timing's not right. I'm not good enough. I don't think I'll do well. I'm scared. All all those things. Now, what would have happened if I didn't listen to the universe's message that it very much was perfect timing? Well, I don't know. That was 2017. That was 8 years ago. I've done probably modestly 200 events by now. I've gotten an opportunity to make people's days. I've gotten an opportunity to have an exceptional amount of fun while working. I've gotten an opportunity to bond with Joshi about weddings. I've gotten to play music. I've gotten to have access to those really cool songs that I used to beg for from the DJs that I'd meet out and about. And really, my life is so different now. I have a whole new set of skills because I chose to say yes, because I chose to not wait for perfect timing. I chose to see it as perfect timing. I chose to frame my mind around, this has got to be the most perfect timing. I wasn't ready. I went into that first gig completely scared. I wish I could replay and watch myself right now because that's what I like to do. I'm a Leo. And I think I would be like, oh my gosh, you're so nervous. I would be like, oh my gosh, I see you shaking. And we know what happened because that was episode 6. And I recovered very easily from that. And it was scary and it was messy and it was great. Messy action. So the next time that you're thinking about waiting for the perfect moment, or this is my favorite in the worst way, I don't want to start dance yet until I lose weight. That one gets me every time because I'm like, dude, start dancing and then just you'll be what you want. I have so many people that come in and their bodies transform because we're building muscle and we're doing cardio. And anyway, that one always gets me. Or first, I want to be a good dancer before I start. Before you start learning how to, oh my God. Before you start learning how to dance, you want to be a good dancer? Okay. I just hope that this helps you see when you're feeding your brain bullshit. And I get to hear this so often because I'm really hearing people's goals and their deep down inspirations and what holds them back. And it's always a mindset like this. I'm waiting for the perfect timing. I'm waiting for the perfect moment. I'm waiting till I'm better. I'm waiting till I'm perfect. I'm waiting till I'm thinner. I'm waiting till I love myself. Stop waiting. You're going to get to experience so much more when you just dive in the pool. Immerse, embrace, trust, go with the fear. Understand that there is no perfect timing. It's just the way that you choose to look at everything. How you're going to stack up all of these micro situations in your favor with the glass half full and not empty. So today I have just a couple of reflection questions for you. So one, what have you been waiting to do? What have you been putting off for the perfect timing? What are you telling yourself you need to earn first before you go and do that thing? And the last question is, if you trusted that right now was enough, what would you do and how would you move differently? And I think it's important to also acknowledge that while I was living this perfect timing situation, in my head, there were also moments within that I was thinking still some of that glass half empty stuff. I could be in both stories if I wanted to. Especially the part about waiting to shadow, that part, I do remember that part getting me and being I was stressed out a little bit. I was a little bit nervous. I was whoa, this is a big deal. This is a big thing. This is someone's wedding. And I still kind of don't know. And if we think about Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Think about that. I knew I had a wedding to DJ on June 3rd. And that was when I first did it. I didn't do it before then. That's why deadlines are so important because you're going to wait until that deadline to do it. So if it's going to take you a week, it's going to take you a week. If it's going to take you 3 years, it's going to take you 3 years. In that instance for me, I knew my first thing was June 3rd. It took me until June 3rd. I could have had an opportunity to DJ sooner than that, but I was fixated on that date. So there are moments where you're going to bring in both parts of these stories, your glass half full story, your glass half empty story, your perfect timing story, your not so perfect timing story, and you're going to let them collide. And you're going to find certain things within both stories that can be true and can be in your sweet spot zone. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say sweet spot, go and listen to episode 16, because it's so good to be in your sweet spot when you're feeling a little bit of I'm scared and a little bit of I got this. And I want to tell you that I was on the edge of my survival zone when I was beginning to DJ. I had a couple moments in the survival zone that night. It was way out of my comfort zone, right? Because I had never done it before. So getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, we're back to that, is also part of this perfect timing story, because you get to be uncomfortable. That's a privilege. Getting the opportunity to be uncomfortable. I love that. And sometimes we get to make those situations for ourselves. Sometimes it's that moment where you're doing something that you've never done before that allows you to see that you can create a new comfort zone. Because now DJing is like, I'll get a little nervous here and there, but it's more in my comfort zone now. So in this next week, this next month, this next year, my wish for you is to be very open to the universe's signs and the universe's pushes, because it's pushing you to your green. If you know what I'm talking about, it's episode 8. And your job is listening. So sometimes it could be very possible that the universe had already whispered to me 10 or more times, be a DJ, be a DJ. But I wasn't listening, because now I can think back to when I would finish a spin class and someone would come up to me and they would say, oh my gosh, your playlist was amazing. You need to be a DJ. I can think back to my Zumba classes where someone would say, how do you find your songs? You're so good at picking the right songs for this. Or when people would say, wow, you just know how to bring the energy into a room. These are all skills that I use when I'm DJing. So it is very possible that the universe was whispering that to me. Or like even, Chrissy, you should just be a DJ now. Like you basically want to be one because you're like always talking to the DJs when you go out. That was the universe saying like, just like you do it. I didn't hear it until I was able to make that timing perfect for myself. I took the control there. I listened and then I did. So it's kind of funny when you think about it. Perfect timing versus not perfect timing. It's all here. I'm putting to my head. It's all our perception and it's all what we make our reality. Do I wish I listened sooner? Yeah, totally. I wish I was DJing throughout college. Like that would have been awesome. And it's just not how it lined up. And that's fine. And I guess really what we can now say is this episode has a lot to do with listening and listening to the pushes. So surprise, add a little bonus subject there. I've always been the type of person that like I learn more when I'm expressing more. So like I can sit and plan and think all day, but it's not until I'm doing something that I like understand it at a deeper level. So when I started this episode, I was like, yeah, this is going to be about waiting and perfect timing and this and that and like kind of how I started it. And now I'm like, wow, this really is about listening. So I hope that you have the opportunity to listen and hear your pushes and your signs from the universe in this next season of yours. And I hope that those reflection questions help you get closer to where you want to be, and that the next time you have an opportunity to see the glass half full, you do, and that you're able to hear the whispers from the universe telling you, do it, baby, do it, you got it. If this was at all helpful for you, I would love to ask you for a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.